Earlier, the Foreign Secretary defended writing an article in favour of staying in the EU just days before he backed Brexit. The release of the secret article has brought renewed accusations that he was putting his own political ambitions ahead of the country's best interests. Harriet Hadfield has more.
My friends, I propose tonight that we resolve to rise up and stop sending £350 million per week to Brussels, taking back control of our borders and our immigration. The biggest supporters of Remain are people in the FTSE 100 companies who are seeing their incomes go higher and higher.
He campaigned furiously for the UK to leave the European Union, but now it's emerged 2 days before Boris backed Vote Leave, he'd written a newspaper column urging voters to hold their breath and vote Remain.
I was wrestling with it like I think a lot of people in this country, and I wrote a long piece which came down overwhelmingly in favour of leaving. I then thought I'd better see if I can make the alternative case to myself, so I wrote a kind of semi-parodic article in the opposite sense, which has mysteriously found its way into the paper this morning, because I think I might have sent it to a friend. But I set them side by side, and it was blindingly obvious what the right thing to do was.
Boris wrote 2 columns with 2 different takes on key issues. On the economy, he warned of Brexit triggering economic shock, but in his published column, he said the economic risks were being exaggerated. On Scotland, he warned Brexit could mean the breakup of the Union. But his published thoughts suggested the Scots and English voters had similar opinions. And he first wrote Brits should exploit the single market, then went on to suggest it would be possible to negotiate new trade deals.
I don't think anybody really doubts that Boris Johnson was making a calculation in deciding which side of the Brexit argument to come down on that was based not on the merits of that argument, but probably on what he thought was best for his own political advancement.
When, post-referendum, Sky News went to find out why people had voted Leave, Boris was an influential factor.
I would trust Boris Johnson with my own life. Really? Well, certainly I would. He appeals to me more than any other politician down there.
But has this changed people's minds?
I think it's a bit sort of shameful that he would say one thing and convince everybody to do one thing, and then he clearly secretly thinks something else.
Well, he sounds like a bit of a hypocrite, to be honest with you, because he doesn't know where he's going with his decisions at all.
He's rubbish, he really is. How can you... We've already said now we're leaving, haven't we? And that's all that matters.
All this shows Boris is capable of being incredibly persuasive on both sides of an important argument. But if he backed Remain, could he have changed the course of British political history forever?
Thank you.
His friends claim he was in fact just weighing up the arguments, a bit like writing a list of pros and cons. The difference being, if you're Boris Johnson, you do that in the form of a newspaper column, which can, at a later date, raise questions about your political motives. Harriet Hadfield, Sky News, Westminster.
Well, we're expecting that story to feature in tomorrow's papers. We'll be taking a look at them in our press previews at 10:30 and 11:30 tonight. We'll be joined by the journalist and talk radio presenter Julia Hartley-Brewer and the Daily Mirror columnist Susie Boniface.